Am I the asshole for feeding my roommate his own mess? I, 28, male, have two roomies, Vic and Mark. We're typical bros who like to hang out, watch movies, and play sports. Things have been copacetic in our apartment for some time, but some time ago something happened and my GF keeps giving me crap about it. Mark, 27M, has a very strict diet because he is a huge fitness bro and he is basically never not in the kitchen. Protein shake for breakfast. Omelet, egg white only, for a second breakfast. Huge chicken salad for lunch. Broccoli and chicken dinner. On and on. Thing is, Mark is clean but not detail-oriented. Little things get left around the kitchen, like tiny bits of egg, tiny bits of salad, just like not quite clean. It's not an issue immediately, but as the week goes on, it tends to get nasty in there. Mark has been talked to multiple times and it keeps happening. We have a cleaner monthly, so it does reset eventually, but for like 3 weeks, it's straight up garbage town. Me and Vic are always venting about it because it's like the only problem in our apartment. So a month ago, we decided to do something about it. We started collecting all of the extra shit we find, little nuts, chicken pieces, crumbs on the floor, in a cup. We came to label the cup, the wretched cup. Mark has a huge bowl in the fridge where he keeps the meal-prepped salad. We put the wretched cup into the salad. TBH, we expected Mark to immediately notice that and come into the living room and rip us a new one. Like, what is all this nasty crap in my salad? Never happened. Instead, what happened is nothing. He didn't even clock it, man. Mark full-on ate that stuff. He ate the wretched cup. Old eggs, wilted greens, apple stems, kitchen floor crumbs, probably a fair amount of straight-up dirt. It makes me gag even thinking about it. He ate the wretched cup, man. He straight-up devoured the cursed thing. He probably even enjoyed it as he said nothing. I had to take a break writing this because it makes me sick. Anyway, I'm back. I told my girlfriend this story when it happened about a month ago. She got really serious and was like, "No, that's actually fucked up." I was surprised at her reaction and I told Vic, but we opted to do nothing. She brought it up again recently, in a serious, heavy tone, and said that's just really messed up and you need to tell him. Well, we don't want to. It kind of took our cackling about it to a different level where we're like, wait, did we cross a line? And to be fair, if this isn't obvious, Mark is kind of a beast, so my GF also was kind of like, you sure you guys aren't a little jealous and want to demean him a bit? Which we are friends with him, so I don't feel like that's valid, but including for completeness. He is jacked and we are maybe athletic adjacent. We're 1 week from the cleaners coming, and remembering he feasted on the wretched cup is honestly making me feel better whenever I'm cleaning his mess. But obviously he never got sick or anything, but is this really that big of a deal? I feel like it passed. No harm, no foul. Come on. Not gonna do it again or anything and still don't know what to do, but for now it's making us feel better, which was the whole point. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for making fun of the way my wife dresses our son? My wife and I have a 7-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. Our son has tutoring at our house for 30 minutes 3 times a week during the school week. My wife insists on it. I don't think it's necessary. I'm home about half the week, so when my son comes home, whether he changes or stays in his school clothes for when the tutor comes doesn't really concern me. But that other half of the week where my wife is home when our son gets home, he always makes him dress up like a business exec. Crew neck with the collar, quarter zip, all that. I don't get why, but my wife thinks she should make him change because it shows respect to the tutor. I promise the woman who tutors him doesn't give a fuck. But it's not really something that affects me, so I don't really care. This past week, I came home right as the tutor was leaving, and I made a joke to my wife about how she dressed him as that white kid from Jessie. I think his name was like Stewart or something. She took more offense than I thought she would, but I was really just joking. She said my remarks weren't funny the first or second time and didn't want to interact with me for the rest of that evening. She sat across from me on purpose at dinner, I'm pretty sure, that night. I didn't think it was that deep, but it seemed to have annoyed her. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for leaving my friend stranded after she was roofied? Me and my friend, 26, female, traveled about an hour or so away to see my boyfriend's gig up where he lives. He was performing at this event, loads of acts were also showing. He was scheduled to be the last performance. We booked a hotel the night before as it would have been too late to drive back and we wanted to drink. We get to the venue when it started and we're having a great time, dancing to the music, watching the singers and bands, drinking quite a bit. Now my friend is a big drinker when we go out, so her drinking didn't shock me. She had quite a lot. I don't drink so much, so I only had a couple. It gets to almost the end of the event and she is blackout drunk, falling all over the bless, yelling, and she ended up puking over the floor too. She was a mess. Usually she doesn't get this drunk or messy. I've never seen her that bad. The security told her she had to leave, so I helped them walk her out. We tried asking them to let her stay, but they wouldn't let her. We got outside the venue and I told her to stay outside and I would watch my boyfriend perform and we could leave. We traveled all the way up specifically to watch him and I've been excited about it for months. And why should I miss out? Because she can't handle her liquor. She agrees and sits on the front steps, but she's still pretty out of it. I go back in and watch the end of the gig. It was only another 15 minutes or something. When I leave the venue, she's gone from the spot I left her in, and some strangers came up to me that they found her up the street stumbling around crying. It was a whole ordeal, and eventually the four of us, the strangers, get her into a taxi and we get back to the hotel. She's still falling over, making no sense, and I got fed up. I helped her into bed and then left to go stay at my boyfriend's who lives local. In the morning, I went back to the hotel and she's angry with me that I left her alone at the hotel. I explained to her exactly what happened and she is insisting she remembers nothing, which apparently never happens to her, and she thinks she must have got roofied, which I don't buy. She was drinking quite a lot. Then she's mad. I left her at the venue, which again, we went up for one reason, and it was important to me to be there for my boyfriend. I told her to wait outside, and there was security outside. So, am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for refusing to give a speech at my best friend's wedding after I found out she'd been lying to me for 2 years about where she met her fiancé? Maya and I have been best friends since we were 19, 11 years. She asked me to be her maid of honor about 8 months ago, and I said yes without hesitating. I've been fully involved, dress fittings, hen weekend, all of it. I was genuinely excited for her. Her fiancé is a guy named Callum. Maya told everyone, that she met Callum at a work conference in 2022. Sweet story, they were seated next to each other at a panel, got talking, exchanged numbers. I've heard her tell this story so many times I could recite it. I liked the story. It felt like something that would happen to her because she's the kind of person good things just find. About 3 weeks ago, I was at a birthday thing for a mutual friend, and I got talking to a woman named Priya, who used to work with Callum. At some point, Callum's name came up, and Priya mentioned offhand that it was funny how life works out, that she remembered when he and Maya first started talking while he was still with his ex. She said it kind of casually, like it was just known. I asked her to clarify, and she looked immediately uncomfortable, like she'd said something she shouldn't have. She tried to walk it back, but the picture was already pretty clear. Callum had been in a serious relationship when he and Maya met. The conference story was either completely invented or heavily edited. They had been talking, and more than talking, before he ended things with someone else. I went to Maya directly. I didn't ambush her. I asked to meet for coffee, and I told her what I'd heard and asked her to be straight with me. She was quiet for a long time, and then she said yes. It was complicated when they first got together, but that it was 2 years ago, and it had nothing to do with who they are now. She said she'd kept it simple because she didn't want to be judged. She was not apologetic about lying to me specifically, her best friend, for 2 years. I told her I needed some time to think and that I wasn't sure I could stand up at her wedding and give a speech about a love story I now knew was built on a version of events she'd invented for public consumption. She told me I was making her wedding about myself. Her mum has since texted me twice. The wedding is in 6 weeks. I haven't given her an answer.
Am I the asshole for calling a HVAC tech instead of letting my girlfriend repair it? I, 29 male, am a musician. My girlfriend, 28 female, is a software engineer. She studied electrical engineering before switching into software. And ever since then, she kind of thinks she knows everything about anything remotely technical. We've been having issues with the mini-split heat pump system in the house she owns. It stopped heating properly and was throwing error codes. She immediately wanted to open the unit herself and take a look inside. I wasn't comfortable with that, because HVAC systems deal with high voltage and refrigerant. And if something goes wrong, you're looking at a huge repair bill. So I called a professional HVAC tech, friend of a friend, to come check it out. When the tech came, he took the unit apart, poked around for a bit, and said the issue was probably a refrigerant leak somewhere in the system, and that the control board was acting up because of it. He also said the unit is old and no longer supported by the manufacturer, so replacement parts aren't really available, and that we should plan to replace the whole system eventually. He did not do any pressure tests or anything, just a visual inspection and some quick checks, and left it at that. After he left, my girlfriend insisted he leave the control board exposed and not close the unit completely because she wanted to inspect it herself. She went online, found pirated service manuals and board schematics, and started testing the board with a multimeter. She claimed the tech's leak theory made no sense because if the refrigerant was actually leaking, replacing an electrical component would not magically make the system heat again. She ended up identifying a failed electrolytic capacitor on the control board and ordered a replacement one. When it arrived, she soldered it in herself. The system turned back on and is now heating like normal. Now she's acting like this proves the HVAC guy was completely wrong, and that I was wrong for calling him in the first place. She is also insisting that I pay for the HVAC visit since he misdiagnosed it, even though she owns the house and still benefited from having someone come out and take a look. I'm still uneasy about it. Just because it works now does not mean it is actually fixed long term. To me, this feels like forcing a failing system to limp along instead of addressing the real issue. She is not an HVAC tech or a licensed electrician. She works on computers all day. She is also very girly and normally super careful about her appearance, like she freaks out about breaking a nail or ruining her manicure, which makes it even harder for me to take her seriously when she is suddenly elbow-deep in wiring and soldering irons. Now she is mad at me for not trusting her competence and says I do not respect her technical background. I feel like I am just being cautious about safety and reliability.
Am I the asshole for hiring a lawyer after my parents used the $20,000 I gave them for emergency repairs to build my brother a magazine kitchen? My dad looked me dead in the eye across my own kitchen table and said, "Helping family isn't a transaction." He said this while sitting in a chair I bought, eating food I cooked, in a house I paid for, after I found out my $20,000 was sitting inside a brand new quartz countertop in my brother's house 30 minutes away. Let me back up. Not far. Just enough. My parents called me in March, said the roof was failing, the water heater was going, and there was a plumbing issue under the master bathroom. I'd seen the roof. It was bad. I'd seen the water heater. It was original to the house, probably from 1987. So when my mum started crying on the phone saying they didn't have the money and couldn't get a loan because of my dad's credit history, I did an AGO. Last month my brother had a AGO. Last month my brother had a housewarming party for the renovation he just finished. I almost didn't go. But I figured why not? Be supportive, whatever. I walked into his house and straight into a completely gutted and rebuilt kitchen. New cabinets, quartz countertops, a farmhouse sink, a 6-burner gas range. The kind of kitchen you see in a magazine. My brother is grinning ear to ear, showing it off, and I'm standing there doing the math in my head and my stomach just dropped. I asked him quietly, almost hoping I was wrong, "How'd you pay for all this?" He shrugged. "Mum and Dad helped out?" I left the party, drove straight to my parents' house. My dad was sitting in the living room watching TV, and I asked him point blank what they used my $20,000 for. He didn't even flinch. He said, "We helped your brother get his kitchen sorted. The rest went towards some of our stuff." I asked which stuff. He got vague, said the water heater was handled and they patched the roof enough for now. I pulled up my phone, showed him a roofing estimate I had requested 2 months prior just to check in on things. The roof hadn't been touched. The plumber they supposedly hired had no record of a job at their address. I'd called around. I'd done my homework before I walked through that door. My dad's face changed. He got defensive fast, said I was auditing my own parents like they were criminals. My mum came in from the kitchen and immediately started with the "you always make everything about money" line, which, I'm sorry, what? I handed them $20,000. That is about money. I told them I wanted it back, not all at once. I wasn't unreasonable. A payment plan, something in writing, anything. My dad said it, the line I'll never forget. "Helping family isn't a transaction." I said, "It is when there's a cashier's check with my name on it." He told me I was being selfish, that my brother needed that kitchen, that he and his wife were trying to start a family and needed a real home. I said that's beautiful and I'm happy for them, but that has nothing to do with the money I lent for a roof that still hasn't been fixed. My mum started crying, said I was breaking up the family over money. My dad said he expected more from me. I left. I got home and I put everything in writing. I sent my dad a text that night laying out exactly what was discussed in March, the amount, the purpose, and the fact that the money was used for something else without telling me. I asked once more, in writing, for a repayment arrangement. He didn't respond. My brother texted me the next morning, said I needed to let it go, and that Mum was devastated. He said he didn't know where the money came from, which, okay, maybe. But he also didn't ask. He just got a new kitchen. I contacted a family lawyer, not to sue anyone, just to understand my options. She told me that a cashier's check is traceable, that the conversations I documented in texts help establish intent, and that if I wanted to pursue small claims for part of it, I had a reasonable case depending on state limits. She also said the most effective thing I'd already done was get everything in writing after the fact. 2 weeks later, my dad called. He'd heard I talked to a lawyer. The tone was completely different. He said he wanted to work something out. I told him I'd already sent him a proposed repayment schedule in writing, and I'd need a signed acknowledgement of the debt before I considered the matter ongoing rather than in dispute. He signed it. My brother co-signed as a witness, which he did not look happy about. My parents are now making monthly payments, small ones. It'll take years, but it's documented. We don't talk much now. My mum calls occasionally and makes small talk and pretends nothing happened. My brother and I are polite when we see each other. His kitchen looks great, by the way. Saw it again at Christmas. The farmhouse sink is very nice. So I'm sitting here wondering if I handled this wrong. Maybe I should have just accepted that this is how my family operates. Maybe I shouldn't have lawyered up over a family thing. But I keep coming back to the same place. They lied to get the money. They didn't ask. They didn't tell me. They just decided my savings belonged to my brother's renovation budget and figured I'd either never find out or never push back. I found out. I pushed back. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for choosing not to do my cousin's bridal makeup because I'm not allowed a +1 to her wedding? My female 28 cousin, female 23, is getting married in May. She asked me to do her makeup for her wedding. I'm not a professional makeup artist, but I've done makeup for special events for people I know for years. I will be doing a trial run, and then again the day of. She asked me what I would charge, and I offered to do it for free because she's family, and I wanted to be nice. However, I just did the RSVP, and there was no option for a +1. I have a live-in, serious girlfriend, and feel like I should be able to attend the wedding with her as my date. I texted my cousin asking about it, and she said they're at full capacity. I understand not allowing a +1 for everyone if it's not in the budget, but as someone who is part of the wedding because I'm doing her makeup, I feel like it would have been courteous to allow me a +1. It is her big day, we aren't close at all though, and I don't even care to attend a wedding without my girlfriend. Thoughts? Am I the asshole? I don't actually think I'm part of the wedding. I more meant that I'm playing a big part in her wedding day. Even if I were not doing her makeup, I would still want my partner there as my +1. It's really not that relevant, but when she asked if I'd do her makeup, it was more or less phrased like she would even be willing to pay me a bit. And because it's really no sweat off my back, I offered to do it for free because she's younger than me and I'm sure on a budget. But it was never a professional type of situation like a lot of you are making it out to be. I'm not a random photographer or person only invited because I'm working. We aren't close, but we aren't super distant. It just stung a little that I wasn't included a +1, especially because my girlfriend and I were excited to celebrate a lesbian couple as lesbians. I have anxiety about all the family I'm going to be seeing who I no longer associate with, and now know I'll be spending the evening small-talking and feeling anxious instead of having fun and celebrating love with my partner. I'm fully aware it's not about me personally. I was just annoyed after when I posted this. I accept that the majority of you think I'm the asshole. I haven't said anything to her about not doing her makeup and still planned on doing it, I just don't want to. I've never been to a wedding where I wasn't allowed a +1, and honestly feel like it's tacky, but I see the other side of the coin as well. I'll more than likely do her makeup and leave the wedding pretty early. Thanks for the input.
Am I the asshole for taking away my daughter's driving privileges after she got into 2 accidents? I'm in my mid-40s and have a daughter 21 in college for CS and a son 23 who still lives with me. My son recently bought a truck. I and my parents gifted him part of the funds, but he bought it himself since he's learning HVAC and needs something practical. My daughter has been using a 2010 Corolla we had because she said she didn't really want a new car at the time, and after graduating might move to NYC and not need one as she did her internship there. She's been in 2 accidents with it. The first time she came home with damage and said she found it like that when it was parked. The police registered it as a hit and run. Then recently she got rear-ended and the driver fled, according to her. While technically it wasn't her fault, I honestly think she might have stopped suddenly or backed into something herself and didn't admit it. Statistically, it seems suspicious she drives way less than I do, and I haven't had an accident in years. Because of this, I decided to take away her car privileges for now. My son still drives his truck because he hasn't had accidents recently, and I feel he will need it for work. My daughter is upset and says it's unfair she's being treated differently, but I feel like this is about responsibility and safety. She says she does not text and drive, but she is always on her phone compared to my son, and always texting and calling people, out with friends at night, unlike my son. If she is not being truthful, I could also get in trouble for insurance fraud. Am I the asshole here?
Am I the asshole for getting a separate check at a friend's birthday dinner? My friend, 47 female, asked me, 30 female, to send out a message in our friend group chat to invite our friends to a birthday dinner celebration for her and make the reservations once they responded. I expressed that I would set it up for her, but in no way was hosting, and made sure when I sent the text to include that she was asking them to join in celebrating her b-day. In the group chat, only one girl said she would attend with her husband. So, including the birthday girl, her boyfriend, myself, and my boyfriend, I made a dinner reservation for 6. Because of past dinners with these friends who have the expectation to have one person pay and send them money later, I have paid a few times and not received payment from certain people. My boyfriend was adamant that we would ask for a separate check. Additionally, my BF and I tend to be very conscious when ordering and don't order a lot of appetizers or cocktails that run up the bill. Our friends, on the other hand, go all out every time. The restaurant was one of those ones you see on Instagram that have a lot going on, so it was very loud. And when we were asked by the waitress for our drink order, my boyfriend asked that ours be separate. At the end of the dinner, 2 checks came, and the 4 other people at the table looked visibly annoyed, and I couldn't help feeling very awkward. Am I the asshole?
Am I the arsehole if I want to break up over how he reacted to marriage questions? I, 27 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 26 male, for 3 years. I am from a small town, and so I know things have changed generally, but in my town there is definitely marriage expectations somewhat soon. Most of my friends are married. We live a few hours outside a big city, so that's just what it is out here. I feel like we are very close and we live together. We share an apartment on his father's property, but I am a sensitive sleeper, and sometimes he stays out late, so he will sleep in the main house. It has a private entrance, so he won't bother his folks. It's not often, but maybe twice a month, which does make me a little suspicious. He does like to drink, but I have no reason to think anything is happening. He seems to act like his normal self and is a decent partner. About a week ago, I asked him casually what he thought of marriage and a typical timeline of it, and he was very harshly like, "I don't think there's a timeline at all. I don't think about it." I kept asking and was like, "Well, when do you think you will?" He said he didn't want to talk about it. It felt very aggressive and stuck with me. Yesterday, I mentioned it again. I said, "Hey, it's important to me to know where this relationship might be going." He said, "It's going how it's going." I told him that I felt like he wasn't really answering these questions and asked if he saw a future with me. He said, "I don't see the future. I just take it one day at a time." There was a long pause and then said, "But I love you and you know that." I wouldn't say it felt forced, but it just seemed like that he figured that was the right thing to say. Ever since, I have a bad gut feeling. The only other detail I can notice is recently, maybe a month ago, he introduced me at a party context, just like, "This is Katie, fake name," without saying I was his girlfriend, and I noticed it. It felt odd, but it was just one time, and he has introduced me normally since, as far as I have paid attention. Am I the arsehole?
Am I the asshole for fake taking over our co-working space? I work at a marketing startup in Palo Alto, and we have an office in a co-working space. Our primary customer is founders of other startups, so we had an idea for a funny guerrilla campaign where we would try to convert other startups in the co-working space. We were never really planning on getting any clients this way, but we just thought it would be funny to post about it online. The first thing we did was buy a bunch of drinks and snacks for everybody, brand them all with a sticker, and fill the company fridge with them. This was only done for the photo op, and then we immediately removed it all. But other founders in the building who had seen our LinkedIn posts came and asked, "Where's all the sponsored snacks?" The next thing we did was take over the elevator. Our CMO set up a little desk in the elevator with a free LinkedIn help sign and would give people advice on optimizing their LinkedIn profiles when they stepped into the elevator office hours. We had a little camera in the corner and got people's consent to post the videos. The third and final thing we did was tape hundreds of pieces of paper with free LinkedIn help to the mirrors in the bathroom. Again, this was only for the photo op. We took them down right after. Well, turns out the co-working space did not have a sense of humour about any of this. We got an email from the head of legal, seriously, telling us that we had to stop and that they would not be allowing us to renew our lease. Our lease ends in 7 days. No joke, we are now out of an office and scrambling to find a place before our lease ends on Friday. The co-working space's lawyer, and some other people online, think I'm the a-hole for doing obnoxious things that annoyed other tenants. I think I'm not the a-hole because it was all fake, it didn't annoy anybody, and it was all silly fun stuff anyway. Am I the asshole?